Don in London, hello. It's October the 9th, 2009, and time 9:30 in the evening. Very late doing my video today, which is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol; my behaviour, workaholic, relationshipaholic, any ism, any cross addiction you can possibly imagine. So if I couldn't get my primary fix, alcohol, to take the edge off, find conviviality, then oblivion and abject misery, because that's where it took me, 24/7 drinking, then I would cross addict into other behaviour. So easy. So if one fix doesn't work, we look for something else. So it could be in the gym, a relationship, and was always worked for many years, decades in fact. So these days try and keep it in the day, just one day of recovery. And why am I late doing my video? Well, very simply, there was some work needed to be done by some engineers, which has been done, but it went on all morning, and it was also interrupted by the arrival of the infestation people just to check all the flats in the block. So been busy in that way, and at the same time very bad toothache, or at least it seemed that way. Anyway, it subsided. So jarring on the nerves with my ears from engineering, and also jarring in my head from abject pain. Nothing worse than dental pain, I guess. Well, not for a man anyway. Yeah, all about recovery. So what keeps me sober these days? Absolutely the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, a fellowship which I belong to. I don't speak for anybody in AA. They are unique, authentic people with their own take on life. So, and I don't speak for AA either. It's a fellowship, as I say, full of unique, authentic people who can speak and share as they choose, where they choose. So, what's important to me with anonymity? It provides sanctuary to find the truth of now. And I've just come back from a meeting called Courage to Change, which is in the Boltons. It was nearly one of the first meetings I went to some years back, when I first started on my path of recovery. And I was not a good student. It took me a while to get to grips and then let go of what recovery might be. And the gift these days is it's about living in the moment of now, dealing with elements of life as they happen, rather than storing them up like I used to do into a great big mountain of emotion and no understanding of what to do except suppress it in some way and find oblivion. So I'm very grateful I got to a meeting tonight. It puts things in perspective. Not only do I see fellowship people, I see friends who have become firm friends over the years, and we are all in the same boat on the same day. So that meeting, Courage to Change, it's all about moving away from fear, putting on a brave face and ego into improving our courage, faith and confidence on a daily basis. So that's what the fellowship does for me. And here I share literature about AA and the AA statement of intent, because it helps me reflect where I am today. So the AA preamble or statement of intent goes like this: Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I was very lucky, in fact, to go to two really good meetings over the last couple of days. One at Eaton Square yesterday, which is all about later sobriety, and it's called the After Eights meeting, because the people who share, the principal share, that's sharing first, do a 10 or 15 minute share about what it's like to be over 8 years sober, and what are the things they have to consider on a daily basis, or have to consider about later sobriety. And I always thought that meeting, when it was called After 8, just meant it was after 8 o'clock in the evening. And it took me a little while to cotton on, because I was very confused that it meant after 8 years sobriety. But the good news is, people from a few hours sober to 46 years sober go to that meeting. So the length of sobriety could be decades, yet we are all in the same boat on the same day. So there may be 1,000 years of wisdom, because it's a big meeting of how to be sober, but we all live in this one day. And that's the beautiful gift of recovery. We're all the same size, all the same problems, all the same solutions. But we are unique and authentic, so where those problems and solutions are on any given day, because there's so many people going and sharing what their wisdom is, we get an inkling about our own problem to solution. And like tonight, Courage to Change, it's moving from the problem to the solution. And there was some discussion about how many meetings a week can one go to or get away with. And when I've learned in recovery, we get away with nothing. Either we store it up for future problems, or we deal with it now as best we can. So if we deal with the pain of now as much as the joy of now, we're experiencing reality, and that is the true spiritual connection for me. So I have a lot of gratitude that the pain has subsided in my head. And anyway, moving on to daily reflections. It's a bit late today. It talks of the spiritual axiom for October 9th, and it says here, it is a spiritual axiom that every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us. I never truly understood the 10th step spiritual axiom until I had the following experience. I was sitting in my bedroom, reading into the wee hours, when suddenly I heard my dogs barking in the backyard. My neighbours frown on this kind of disturbance, so, with mixed feelings of anger and shame, as well as fear of my neighbours' disapproval, I immediately called in my dogs. Several weeks later, the exact situation repeated itself, but this time, because I was feeling more at peace with myself, I was able to accept the situations. Dogs will bark, and I calmly called in the dogs. Both incidents taught me that when a person experiences nearly identical events and reacts in two different ways, then it is not the event which is of prime importance, but the person's spiritual condition. Feelings come from inside, not from outward circumstances. When my spiritual condition is positive, I react positively. What a gift, eh? We have to see it, and half the time we want to blame the rest of the world. Half the time we're telling ourselves lies that it's not as bad as it is, and we feel that guilt and shame. And the rest of the time saying, let's get the dogs in quick. Very pertinent, because the dogs downstairs bark all the time if life happens that way sometimes here. As Bill sees it today, this one, leadership in AA, and this is always important for me, because I'm not a leader. No society can function well without able leadership at all levels, and AA can be no exception. But we AAs sometimes cherish the thought that we can do it without much personal leadership at all. We are apt to warp the traditional idea of principles before personalities around to such a point that there would be no personality in leadership whatsoever. This would imply rather faceless robots trying to please everybody, and the danger is with anonymity, everybody thinks it's faceless. Well, it's not. The leader in AA service is a man or woman who can personally put principles, plans and policies into such dedicated and effective action that the rest of us naturally want to back him up and help him with his job. When a leader power drives us badly, we rebel, but when he too meekly becomes an order taker and he exercises no judgment of his own, well, he really isn't a leader at all. In other words, if we follow the principles, we're in good stead, but if we actually get into personalities, we can be in trouble. And this is about how AA works in the meetings and the structure and the service. It's not about individuals losing their ability to take good choices and take a lead for themselves in their own personal lives and how they conduct themselves. So the principle is we take a lead for ourselves and our choices to the good of good living, into the solution of now. And for me, that is what works for me on a daily basis. Anyway, my time is up. And as I always say, the Serenity Prayer as a form of acceptance about what has happened and is now. God, or to good conscience, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is and has been just for today.